Pick up your gear and open your chests. Throw on your armor and head out on a quest. Hey, hey, it's a brand new day. On the Sword Coast, your allies will help with blades and bows and magic as well. Hey, hey, heroes on their way. Fighting forever against overwhelming odds. Fighting together in favor of multiple gods. Idle champions of the forgotten realms. Idle champions, adventure never ends. Idle champions, get you all out there. Idle champions, you will say it again. Idle champions. From Waterdeep to Icewind, head out to Chull or Shadowfell, hey, hey. Together we stay. Walk to the monsters, walk to the boss, walk to the right, it's never a loss, hey, hey. Bad guys to slay. Fighting forever against overwhelming odds. Fighting together in favor of multiple gods. Idle champions of the forgotten realms. Idle champions, adventure never ends. Idle champions, get you all out there. Idle champions, you will say it again. Idle champions.
Hello everyone, welcome to another Gaarawarr's Guide, the tutorial show. I'm Gaarawarr, and today we're going to be talking about new player stuff. Basically, what do you do when you're brand new and you want to start playing the game? We're going to do some little helpful tips, point you in kind of a direction for progress, explain some of the basics, and then that's going to be the first half, and the second half will answer any questions you might have. So I have Jordan helping me today in the mod pod. Jordan's going to be in chat pulling questions, so if you have questions, post them with question, and then follow that with your actual question in chat. They will grab them, and I will get to them in the second half of the show. Speaking of getting started, did I do all the right? Yeah, I did. Okay. It's like, did I turn all the things on? Saturday mornings, folks. Well, morning for me, at least. So we have lots of new players recently. First off, welcome to the game. We hope you're having fun. There's lots of helpful resources in the community. This is going to be the first stop. Join the subreddit. There's one. Join the Discord. There's another. And show up to fun streams like this one. Myself and Mars and Lauren tend to do streams where we're answering questions, especially for newer players, and can answer your anytime. So if you ever see a pop up in game, like the one that you might have just seen just now, that's aiming you at one of those streams, head over and fire away. There are lots of in-game pop-ups for other streams. They're fun, entertaining streams as well. But if you're specifically looking for questions, look for me, look for Mars, look for Lauren. Weekly patronage, formation save as well. Formation save, they tend to they will copy your account and help you build formations to help you progress in the game. So there's the first tip. Make sure to join and be active in the community, and you're going to see lots of get lots of help from the people in the community right away. But first off, when you first start the game, this is where you're going to be. You're going to be on a map of the Sword Coast. You might see a lot of these other things, and they'll be locked. only because early on, you won't see this one at all, but early on, this Grand Tour of the Sword Coast is where you start. This top adventure node, A Brief Tour of the Realms, is your tutorial. Hop into it. The first champion you're going to meet is going to be Brunor Battlehammer, aka Tutorial Dwarf. For those who don't know who he is, a lot of people just refer to him as Tutorial Dwarf until they learn. But Brunor is going to help you out, and you'll unlock some other champions along the way. The tutorial does an okay job of. I'm not going to try to say the tutorial's amazing. It does an okay job of introducing you to the basics of the game, and we're going to talk about some more of that stuff. After you finish that, you'll do a brief escort through the realms. This is the game's way of introducing you to what happens with this game, which is there are main adventures, which is what this first one is. And then there are variants of that adventure. So the main adventure generally just has a completion area goal, but then down here it'll say no restrictions, under restriction. Whereas the variant will be the same place, so the same adventure with the same enemies, but it's going to give you a higher area goal to complete, and it's going to give you a restriction. Like in this, it says a wagon takes up a slot in your formation. This is your formation. This is the visual indication of your formation. What is a formation? This is the layout that you're going to be able to place your champions in this adventure. And in this case, normally there would be 9 potential slots for champions, but a wagon's taking up one of them, and that makes this harder. For various reasons. One, you're down a champion and all of its contributions. But two, it actually puts it in a position that makes it hard to place other champions sometimes, who like to be right next to others to make them stronger. It causes problems, and that's generally what variants do. They exist to cause you problems. They are the puzzle of this game. This is, it's called Idle Champions of the Forgotten Realms, but is more accurately described as a formation strategy management game that is all about solving puzzles with your formations and your champions. The basic adventures, usually pretty straightforward. You just throw your champions in, they push. As long as you have enough general power, you're going to get through. But variants make up the bulk of the content in the game. And they are what you will spend your time using different combinations of champions to complete. So you may use a set group of champions in a set formation all the time in your basic adventures. Once you get to this, they're gonna change things up. So this is kind of the game introducing you early on to this idea. Once you complete those, the actual game will unlock. You will have access to the rest of the Sword Coast. Your little map indicator will walk you down to the next node, and you will start the very first adventure, the very first real adventure, non-tutorial adventure, called the Cursed Farmer. Completing the tutorial not only lets you access the main game, but if there is an event going on, it will let you start the event. Events will show up over here on this banner, but they'll show up at the top. So all of these will scooch down just a little bit, and a new event will start. We have one coming up here soon called Greengrass. When it starts, they start on Wednesdays, usually every 3 weeks. There's a new event. It will pop up here, and those are your priorities. So once you get out of the tutorial, and if you see an event active, hop into the event, even if you've done nothing in the Sword Coast, because events are limited time opportunities for you to unlock new champions. This is how you get new champions in the game. You can get every champion. I guess I have to say every champion but one right now, currently, for free, just by playing the game and through events and something called time gates, which we'll talk about there down here. You can get them all for free. There's no content gates. There's no content locks. The game can be entirely free to play, but if you choose to support it, there are lots of ways that you can speed up your progress, or make your quality of life a little better, or just have fun skins. There's all those things, right? So you will see a lot of things on my screen that are going on that look complicated that won't appear. These maps of Barovia and the Underdark won't be there when you start. This is content that unlocks as you progress. The same as this whole patron thing over here. These are These are kind of mid-game, early to mid-game introductions to other ways to progress and gain more power. These will unlock as you progress. Each of these maps, as you complete a little more of the first one, the next one will unlock, and so on and so forth. Generally speaking, you should do these somewhat in order. I say somewhat because Grand Tour of the Third Coast, it starts off easy and then it gets progressively harder and harder and harder. And it's not meant to just be done in one shot. You're meant to do parts of it and then go dip your toes into these others and do all of them and then come back and maybe do some more and then do more of this. So you're meant to weave in and out of these other campaigns. That's just so that you can earn more power, because each campaign has ways of getting you more power for your game and for your overall account progress. So there's a difference between, in this game, the champion power, which we'll look at some champions here in a moment, and then your account power. And these can combine, but the more account power you have, the more easy it is going to be to do all kinds of general things, even when you have champions that aren't super powerful yet. And then when you can combine super powerful champions with lots of account power, you know, the sky's the limit, right? That's how you complete all the in-game content. But early on, you want to focus on kind of getting a mix of account power and champion power. And we'll talk about how to do that. So these are the campaigns. You're going to want to do them in order. Grand Tour of the Sword Coast is the first. If we hop over here, what's going to happen is it will look like this when you start, except instead of free play, it'll say, I don't think it'll have anything here. It's just going to be a basic adventure, and it'll tell you whatever rewards it has over here. These symbols indicate favor. Favor is kind of your overall run-to-run progress. Because when you do an adventure, you will earn lots of gold, and you'll level your champions up with that gold. But then when you complete it, your champions all reset back to level 1, because it's the progress you're getting isn't on the level of your champions. It's on your overall account power, which is done in part by a favor, and also in part via the loot you're going to get and the things you're going to buy, and we'll talk about that. So if we hop into Curse Farmer, I will throw Brunor in. Or I will not. Oh no. Oh no. Brunor's doing some end-game stuff. So let's throw Celeste in. Celeste is the second champion. Oh boy. Oh boy, Gaarawarr. Silly end-game content. Silly end-game content. Celeste is the second champion in your bench slot. Normally would have Brunor. I forgot I did that this week. I'm forgetful and bad. Let me swap in all of our core champions here. So when you start the game, you're going to start with a group of 12 champions. They're not going to all be available to you at once. The first one you're going to see is Brunor. He's the dwarf with the single horn off of his helmet over here. You'll know him when you see him. And then as you earn more gold by killing things like I'm doing right here, I should probably make this look a little more normal. Slow down. There we go. You will be able to then add new champions to your formation. As you earn the gold, you have to have, like, they'll show up once you buy a champion in a slot. Once you get them in here, the next champion will show up. Once you have enough gold once you have this champion, the next champion is going to show up. That doesn't mean you have to buy them all in order. It is a good thing to do when you start, so that you can learn each champion and what they do. But once you have enough gold, the reason I can see all of these is because I have enough gold to put any of them in. So once you have enough gold to put the next one in, you can technically skip a slot and put the one after that in. You don't have to do them in order. But early on, you'll have Brunor in as default at the start. Celeste will be the next one you put in. Celeste is a healer and a buffer. So she is what's called a support healing champion. If we come up here, if you click on a champion, you will open up their champion UI. where you can gain a lot more information about this champion. The important thing, the important stuff early on is up here. You want to look under roles, because the sooner you can understand what each champion is supposed to be doing, the sooner you'll be able to build good formations with them. You can get along early on just putting people wherever and kind of trying to overpower stuff, but your progress is going to be slow, it's going to be painful, and you're going to fail at a lot of things. But you just might not realize that it's not great yet. But once you understand their roles and what they're supposed to do, you have an idea of where you're supposed to place them in a formation and what they should be doing. So Celeste is healing support. That means she really shouldn't be getting hit by a bunch of cows, right? You want a tank for that. Enter Nayeli. Nayeli, it does take you a couple slots to get there, but Nayeli is your first tank. She is tanking support in her role, so she is who should be at the front of the formation, so that when things come up and get all the way to the formation, they're hitting Nayeli and not your squishies. Because as we see, Nayeli has a bunch of health. I have this in scientific notation. If you hit Y on your keyboard, it can change. If I come back over here, you'll see I have a little over 19,000 health. Generally speaking, we use scientific notation because it's easier to compare numbers. It's easier to know what a number is and whether it went up or down. Because as you can see, I have such a high number over here. I don't know what a lowercase c stands for. And when this changes to a different letter, I don't know if that was up or down just at a glance, unless I memorize all these numbers, right? So like here, what's it going to go to? Yeah. So it's well, let's see. But if I look at scientific notation, if all I look at is the number after this e, this lowercase e, 67. Well, it's very easy for me to say, well, I have E67, and whatever this number is representing. And if it goes to E66, it went down. If it goes to E68, it went up. Very easy references. It's going to make your life a lot easier when trying to tell people what kind of favor you have, or how much gold find you have, or whatever, or what your damage is. It's much easier for you to say, well, I had E39, or I had E67, or I had E40, than it is to try to explain what number it is, because frankly, people don't have time for that. People don't have time for that. Okay. So, tanks. Brunor himself is a support champion. He's a buffer. I know he looks like he might be a tank because he's got a big sturdy shield and he's wearing armor, as opposed to Nayeli, who's just swinging a sword. But welcome to Dungeons and Dragons, and welcome to Idle Champions. Visually referenced aren't necessarily the actual things there in a game. So they could be wearing heavy armor, but in this game they may not be a tank. So there are rules to each champion, and we'll get to that. But first off, make sure you're looking at their roles. If we throw our friend Jarlaxle out here, Jarlaxle, as you can see, is that his default? Yeah. He is a DPS and gold role. What does that mean? Well, DPS should be pretty straightforward. He's your damage dealer. Gold means he's going to help you generate, generally speaking, gold means they're going to help you generate more gold. So just once we get them in and we have an ability leveled up that increases gold, you'll start earning more gold with every kill. And gold means you can upgrade your champions faster, so gold turns into damage. So having more gold in your team, is nice. It's a nice feature. It isn't necessarily what you want to build completely around to try to push real far. Ultimately, we want to push with lots of damage, because the further that we go, every level we complete, the amount of gold that drops goes up. So if you can push a lot very far with a power formation instead of a gold formation, you're going to make more gold than just killing things at a much lower level with your weaker gold formation. So that's a good early tip, because a lot of people think, oh, I just need to maximize all my gold. Well, not necessarily. But Jarlaxle does a good combination early on. As you can see, he just killed the boss there right as he was walking on stream. He does a good job early on of giving you damage and gold at the same time. So when you're first starting out, you're probably gonna have Bruenor out here. You're probably gonna have Celeste, most likely back here. Bruenor would be. We'll have Deacon as a stand-in. Bruenor would be where Deacon is, because there are rules to champions. There are rules to how their abilities work. So let's look at Celeste. We can see what you want to do is this is what it's going to look like here on the upgrade screen. You want to come down here and click Show Upcoming. This is going to show you what your upcoming upgrades are. So at level 10, Celeste increases the damage of all champions. Fantastic. At level 20, she gets an ability called Crusader's Mantle, where she increases the damage of champions next to her by a large amount. A very large amount. Better than this, right? Probably not early on, but for me, it's a large amount. So this means we look at these, and these are indicators of where you want to place your champions in your formation. So these are your formation building indicators. So this says champions next to Celeste. So that means I want to make sure that I put Celeste next to whoever I am making my DPS. Now that could be, I could put the DPS in all of these places, and they're going to be buffed by Celeste. But we just want to make sure that they're next to Celeste. Now, you might think we should some people would rightly assume, well, I want to put Celeste next to as many people as possible so everyone gets a damage boost. And, early on, that can make a lot of sense. But one thing that you need to understand about this game is that the idea of it is that to push as far as possible, you want to focus all of the buffs from all of your champions onto whoever you have chosen as your DPS. So you make your formation building decisions around your DPS placement and what the other champions' requirements are. So Celeste is pretty open. She can be just adjacent to anywhere. That means I can put the DPS anywhere around here. So now I know that I need to look at Celeste being here. Well, anywhere, just as long as they're next to my DPS. And now I need to look at other champions and see what their requirements are. We're going to call this Bruenor. And I'm going to say that Bruenor has an ability, because I know what Bruenor does. Bruenor has a buff. Bruenor has a buff where he buffs the champions that are in the same column as him. So these are columns. The up and down features here. These are columns of formation slots. So we would put Bruenor in the same column as our DPS, and we would have Celeste adjacent to the DPS, and things are good. And then we come over to Nayeli, and Nayeli has an Aura of Courage that increases the damage of champions in the column behind Nayeli. So this is why I'm in this placement. Nayeli, obviously, up in front. Oh, you're right, chat. Esmeralda is a better replacement because she does the same thing. She buffs in the column. Nayeli would be up in front. So we want to make sure with Nayeli as our tank, and she will be your starter tank, that your DPS is in the column right behind. Bruenor, in his orange outfit, would be in the same column, and then we can put Celeste right back here, or like right here if we want, just somewhere in one of these two slots. I'm gonna put her here. Buffing Jarlaxle. So once we get her upgraded, let's go ahead and get her to 20. So she's got Crusader's Mantle active. We're gonna call this Bruenor, and we're gonna get to his would be somewhere higher. Nayeli's is at 20. So I'm jumping up here. One of the things you want to do is right up here is an upgrade indicator. These are your it gives you some keyboard shortcuts if you hover over it. That's what I was using to jump up certain levels. But if we just change this, one of the things after you get out of the tutorial, you want to click through this until it says this, until it has these two up arrows. This is just going to automatically upgrade you to the next major upgrade listed right here. So this is the amount of gold it's going to cost, and this is what you get when you get there. So if we look at Jarlaxle, self-damage by 100%, great. Master of Piracy is the next one, increases gold find, great. We want more gold, so I can just jump straight to that, and it automatically buys that upgrade. Because otherwise, if I have to click all the way through, you're going to see the progress to the next upgrade bar is this yellow bar. All of these upgrades aren't helping my formation at all. All of these little one level ups in between here, they're not really doing anything. They're raising, they're giving Calliope here. This is Calliope. Let's put her in her default skin so she's recognizable to new players. This is Calliope. It's not, there's no bonus really for that. It's giving her a little more damage, but she's not our DPS. So this upgrading just one at a time isn't going to do anything for you. So switching over to the double up arrows just is going to take you straight to that upgrade. If you do happen to do this on its own, by the time you get to the upgrade, it's going to turn blue. You don't have that upgrade. You see all these up arrows because it needs you to click this to actually turn that ability on. But when you use the double up arrows, it not only upgrades you to that level, it also makes sure that selects that upgrade so that you're just there automatically. So one last little formation building. Calliope is healing support. She doesn't actually heal. I know that's confusing. She provides what's referred to as a temporary hit point bonus, aka a shield of damage to you. That's what they're referring to by healing. They just lumped it all together. She also has Bardic Inspiration, which increases the damage of champions in the column in front of her. So she would go right here, right? And she would buff, or she could go up here. Either way, she's buffing Jarlaxle some more, and that's what we want, right? Now, we did say Celeste was a healer. It takes a while to get to Celeste's heal. She has to get all the way up to level 40. And when she first gets it, it's only going to heal the column in front of her, which is why a lot of people, some people will be a little confused about where Celeste is going to be placed, because they'll think, well, shouldn't Celeste be healing the tank? Yes, Celeste. It would be great if Celeste was healing the tank. Early on, when you have limited champion availability, you don't always get to use champions in the best possible positions. This is why there are other options in these slots. You won't see them when you start. These are the champions you have to unlock with events and time gates, or earning them in the campaign. You will get these options, and they let you build more robust formations that are more optimized. But another way to optimize your champions is to continue upgrading. Some champions will have what's called a specialization. All of them do, but some of them will change how they function. I'm just going to ramp her up to her specialization. You can choose to either specialize her in her war domain or her life domain. War domain ups her buff. It just doubles it. I say just because 100% sounds like a lot, but this game deals with large numbers, so 100% is okay. But if we're going to be putting Celeste in the middle column here, we want to look at life domain. Life domain increases the range of Mass Cure Wounds, which is her healing ability, by 1. So it affects all champions in both of the 2 columns ahead of Celeste. So by choosing this, we are now healing not only these 2, but also Nayeli in the front. And now we have heals for our tank. Calliope's shields, as you can see, one is triggered here on Nayeli. They trigger off someone taking damage for anyone within 2 adjacent spaces of Calliope. So by putting Calliope here or here, we can make sure that everyone in the party is shielded if they need to be. This is generally what you're looking at. You're reading, when you're new, you're going to be looking at your roles for the champions as they get added. And you're going to be looking at their abilities to get cues on where to place them and what those champions actually do, right? This is going to help you build solid formations. This is going to help you push forward and easily meet these goals, whatever your level goals are for your regular adventures. As you're pushing along, one thing I want to note here is you may have been tempted, and you may have done this in the tutorial, you may have leveled up your click damage. and you may have just frantically been clicking on the screen to click things. And then you would have found out that, well, if you don't have a lot of click damage, you can click on someone, but they don't die until a champion hits them, right? But if you level up the click damage a bit more, they might start dying again. But you'll find out that it ends up being maybe a little easier to level up champions than it is click damage. This is by design. This game is not necessarily about clicking things to death. It can help you early on when you only have a champion or 2 champions on the field. It can make sense to level up your click damage. But there is a general rule of thumb that's going to help you maximize your gold spending. And that's for you to look at the area level you're on, the area number you're on. So I'm at 19 here. And what level your click damage is at. If they are roughly equal, you will be able to kill things. Like, it's taken me a little bit here, but if this was 19, I can really quickly kill stuff. Really quickly, right? But once I start lagging behind in my click damage level and compared to my area level, I am in a place where it's going to be far more efficient for me to spend my gold on leveling up my champions than it is to spend it on leveling up my click damage. And at that point, it is your formation that pushes you through the game. That is what the original... I should use the original skin for click damage too. This is the intent behind the game, is for you to build... use your champions to build a formation. And let that formation push you through the adventure, and to level up and to add more champions over time, level them up so that you can push as far as possible. Eventually, you'll have all the champions in. Now, not necessarily like this, because some of these roles are duplicated, but at this point, if you try to buy a new champion, nothing happens. You'll see these show up as green, and these are blue. Green means they're in your formation. Blue means they're not. Blue means they're not. So putting levels into champions that aren't in your formation, not a good idea. But if I say I don't want one of these other champions in because I just threw them in, but they don't do anything. I'm sorry, Delana. You can drag your other champion off your bench and drop them into the formation slot that you want. You can also drag and drop them around in the formation. But then that removes this champion, and you don't have to use them anymore if you don't want to. I'm just optimizing my formation out of habit. Oh boy. So the further you go along here, the more expensive each champion is going to be to put in. That doesn't necessarily mean they're going to be better for you. Because remember, when we first buy a champion, all they are in the formation is existing. They just exist. They're not actually providing any benefit. So sometimes it's better to level up existing champions until you can get a champion up to enough gold to get them up to their actual buff. And then they may be of more benefit. It's just going to depend on the type of champion and what buffs they offer. But I removed Delana specifically because Delana is a DPS. Well, as I explained earlier, we had a DPS. Oh, jeez. We have a DPS on the screen in terms of Jarlaxle. This game, formation building currently in the game, is built around focusing all your buffs onto one DPS. The second DPS isn't necessarily going to do anything for you. It depends on the DPS. Delana specifically doesn't offer buffs to other champions. So if she's in your formation, she either needs to be your DPS, or she needs to not be in your formation. Find somebody else. Speaking of finding somebody else for Delana, one of the first things you want to do in the game is you want to click on the menu and you want to come over here to the newsletter. Click the newsletter, sign up for the newsletter, give it an active email address, because right away you will unlock a new champion. You're going to unlock... well, he doesn't look like this when you get him. Here we go, Hitch. You're going to unlock Hitch. Hitch will be your first swap. Your very first champion swap. Congratulations. You got hitched. Hitch is a support champion, so helps your early pushing a lot, because in this slot, instead of having to choose to use Delana, you can just go use Hitch, because maybe you're already using Jarlaxle. Hitch actually buffs Jarlaxle very well. And Hitch is also, he can also kind of do some damage. So sometimes support champions might actually function as DPS champions. Very rarely. Very rarely. There are exceptions to all the rules in this game, and this is one of them. But Hitch will come in and be a fantastic buffer for you. For Jarlaxle, it'll also increase your gold find, because Jarlaxle increases gold find based off more drow or more rogues. And Hitch, he's a rogue. So Hitch is going to give you good progress early on. So make sure you grab Hitch. Hitch is Hitch is in this weird liminal space between a core champion, one of these original 12 that the game comes with, and an evergreen champion. Evergreen champions are champions that you can unlock year round in the game. Most of them are unlocked via completing variants. Remember, we talked about variants are the harder versions of adventures. Completing certain variants in the game can earn you champions. For instance, a certain champion people might be acquainted with if you're playing a Dungeons & Dragons game, Dritz Warden, the Drow Ranger. Dritz is unlocked in the Sword Coast campaign. So that's actually what I consider one of, if we go back to the map screen, as you work your way through the Sword Coast campaign, you'll finish all the adventures in this node, you'll move to the next adventure node, and one of the adventures you unlock will be called, a variance you unlock will be Overdue Rendezvous. It's off Underdeep Cartography, and the reward for finishing this -1 champion is going to be Dritz. This is what I consider the first milestone in the game. I like to break the game's progress down into milestones to make it a little easier on what you should focus on. Dritz is what I consider the first milestone. I actually have a new player reference on the subreddit. There's a wiki on the subreddit with lots of awesome resources. I have a page of guides targeted at new players, and the best one is to start with. Is my new player reference, and it labels the first milestone as, hey, let's start working towards unlocking Dritz. It has links to lots of other guides along the way. Just focus one milestone at a time. This game has lots of information, and it can be a little overwhelming to try to learn everything at once. So just move through one milestone at a time, take a little bite, learn the information. It's going to have links, that guide will have links to other new player guides that you might want to learn, like formation strategy, what blessings are, which we'll talk in a moment, what to do with your gems that you're earning. If you've been watching, when we kill bosses, they drop a loot bag. In that loot bag, there's lots of green gems. Sometimes there's also a chest. What do you do with those? There's all kinds of information on that. And it walks you through basically each of these milestones in the game, unlocking these champions and letting you progress a little further. If we've pushed real far in adventure, let's say we've met our goal, we've got some loot, but we don't know what to do with it. We've got some favor. If we come up here, this is the complete adventure button. There will be a pop-up on the screen if you are doing a guide for the first, or if you're doing an adventure for the first time, that will say complete or continue once you reach the goal. Early on, when you're doing basic adventures, you might want to click continue and just push a little further. Why? Well, if you can, pushing further is going to get you more gold. And if we hover over this button, we'll see that we have it says Torm's favor, and it gives a number. Well, this is the amount of favor we've earned based off the gold that we've picked up in our adventure. Gold from an adventure converts into favor. What is favor? Favor is Torm is a god in the D&D universe, and you have earned their favor by pushing through this adventure, and you can use that favor to get blessings from that god. So, if we were to complete this adventure, I'm just going to pretend we completed it, and then we got into a new adventure. We come over here to this button, the sunrise. This is your blessings button. So blessings are where you spend Torm's favor to earn more power. This is your permanent progress through the game. And in each campaign, you're earning one of the means of it. You're earning more power. So you would come over here and you would immediately start spending. Here, let's just reset. It would look like this. And you would have little indicators like this first one is going to be, it's going to take 50 favor for you to buy 50% more damage for all of your champions. Oh, heck yes, please. And hey, oh, okay, I got that 50%. Now it's going to cost me 100 favor to get another 50%. Sure. The way this works is you want to make sure your warnings are enabled up here. You want this green checkbox. And then you just want to click. And then you just want to click until it has a pop-up that says, whoa, you're spending a lot. Are you sure you want to spend that? And when it warns you like that, you go, no, I'm done. And then you click no. And then you come down to the next one on this list in the same tier, and you click it, and you see if it'll let you buy that. And you do the same thing up until it tells you no. Or it gives you that warning. This is why we leave warnings enabled. Basically, it is warning you based off of you spending more than a certain percentage of your favor. It's warning you that. It's giving you that warning because favor not only can buy you power like this, but on your next run, favor, the amount of favor you have, turns into gold find. If we look up here at the top, it says I have a E68% gold find. Well, that's because I have lots of favor. So you don't want to spend too much of your favor. You want to make sure you're respecting the warning pop-ups. Because that favor is actually going to let you upgrade your champions faster, push further, earn more gold, upgrade them further than you did before, and go further. Again, earning more gold, thus earning more favor, thus letting you buy blessings, and then starting a new adventure and earning more gold, and thus earning more favor. This is the loop. This is the adventure to adventure loop in Idle Champions. So you want to, this is kind of how you snowball your power, is by making sure you're spending wisely. You don't have to click through them. You can hold it down. There's not going to be any buttons popping up here because I have more than enough favor to buy all this. But we want to make sure that that you're spending as much as you can without ignoring the warnings. You want to make sure you're respecting the warnings, or else you're going to find even though you got a lot of this power, you lost a lot of favor, and early on, favor is a big power stick for you to beat things with. Yeah, real big. Okay, you will notice there's different placements for these. This is actually indicating, not on all platforms, but this is indicating that these are different types of blessings. So these over here they don't cost a lot, and there's lots of different. As you know, there's 20 of these upgrades, there's 5 of these, there's 5 of these, but there's only one over here. And this is a much bigger thing, but it doesn't look big. It says all champion damage times 2, but it costs way more. Like, okay, but that's 100, that's basically times 2 means 100%. I can get 100% over here for 150 favor. Why would I spend all of this? Well, the indicator under here is why. Applies to all campaigns. So favor and blessings only apply to the campaign you earn them in. So Torm's favor is for the Sword Coast campaign. The Grand Tour of the Sword Coast, that's why it says Tier 1 blessings. These blessings only affect, on the left over here, only affect your progress in the Grand Tour of the Sword Coast. But the ones on the right affect your progress everywhere. Everywhere. So earning these, what are called global blessings, as opposed to local blessings, are the big goals of pushing forward. So when you're pushing through the Sword Coast early on, you want to get to this, right? And then this will help you. You should be able to get there before you unlock Dritz. And then you'll be able to throw some down here and then unlock Dritz. And then kind of your second goal is to then buy this Gem Hunter one. And as much as this is possible, it's nice, but these are nice. They'll help you get that. But once you have the Gem Hunter, and Dritz, then you can move on to the Tomb of Annihilation campaign. That is kind of your transition, your early transition. So why wait until this? Well, this says gems dropped by bosses +1. Applies to all campaigns. One more gem off a boss doesn't sound like much, folks. I get it. But this is again, we're talking about a game that's going to take a long time for you to play through all the content. You're going to be killing lots of bosses. There's one every 5 levels. And every time you kill them for the first time in an adventure or a variant, they're going to drop a bag with gems. Those gems are used in the shop to buy you a variety of things. Most importantly, if we come over here, most importantly are these two, silver chests and gold chests, right? Why are these important? Well, these contain gear for your core champions, your core and evergreen champions. Gear is power. Gear is power. So early on, spending all of your gems is going to help you get more power for your champions to help you pushing through each adventure. So this is another form of the permanent progress you're gaining when you're doing an adventure. You're getting gems up here, and you're spending them on chests, and you're opening those chests. When you first start out, the very first thing you want to buy with your gems, like hopefully right after you get out of the tutorial, is you're going to go in the gem shop, and you're going to see this little blue hand. It's called the Mage Hand Familiar, and you're going to buy it. It's only 250 gems. And then you're going to come out here to this screen, and this hand may not show up. This icon down here only shows up after you've completed area 65. So if you haven't done that yet, then what you'll do is you'll press F on your keyboard, and all of these little boxes will show up, and you'll just go and you'll I have to do this the other way. And when you press F and you click on that box, it's going to drop the mage hand out there. Now, what's the mage hand going to do? Well, it's going to click for you on the field. It's going to click, and early on, it's going to do damage to these things. Like, that's what this fire thing, it's going to click the symbols. But you can also bring it down here, and you can put it on an ultimate. This is in the champion's ultimate. And it will just automatically fire off that ultimate whenever the ultimate comes off cooldown. If I had more ultimates, we could put it up here, and this would be a bar where it moves back and forth, and it clicks any ultimate every so often when it's off cooldown. Or we can even put it down here directly on a champion, and it will upgrade that champion as long as there's gold to upgrade that champion. So familiars are quality of life. They are a form of automation in the game. They're doing things for you. And you will be able to buy some with gems. You'll be able to earn some from those patrons you saw earlier. But more often than not, they're going to be in the cash shop, because that's just quality of life features like this for automation. Having a lot of them generally is a cash feature. But again, you can earn a lot of them without spending any money on the game if you'd like. So, blessings. Use your gems to buy chests. Start off with silver chests. I know there's a chest tab. Okay, let's real quick. We're going to talk about this. If you come to the chest tab, this is old. This is like when the game first came out. You can click on one chest. You can click on the numbers, and you can buy it. But you have to do it over and over and over again. One at a time, especially when you get to gold chests. There is only a one at a time option. Go to the gem item shop. Come here. You get a nice little slider. It will stop when you run out of gems, but you can buy up to 100 of them at once. Buy your chests over here, folks. Buy your chests from the gem item shop. It's going to be much nicer for you. Then you come here. This is your inventory page. I have a lot of chests here, but when you come over here and you're ready to open chests, you just click on the chest. It's going to drop. It's going to open. You can click on your cards. You'll see your loot. When you're new, these won't say duplicate. You'll just have an item for the first time. But you will eventually get duplicates. Don't worry. Duplicates are great. Duplicates actually increase your power. These add they take your items and they look at the gear and they add levels to your items. As you can see, effect increased by 1%. You can open up a bunch of chests this way. You can go one at a time, like this, or if you click on the little blue icon underneath a bulk of chests, you get a slider and you can open up to 50 at once. So if you just want to bulk open things, you can. As you saw with these silver chests, you're going to get gear. You're also going to get gold. The gold that drops is based off when you open it on a level. So if you're going to open them in an adventure, wait till you're closer to like that slowdown point. We call it a wall. Open them there. You'll be able to upgrade your champions a little more. Gold chests offer better gear. Silver chests only offer white, green, and blue gear, but blue is very rare. Obviously, common, uncommon, rare. Blue is going to be hard to find out of the silver chests. Gold offers green, blue, and purple. Purple being, your epic gear, the really hard to come by stuff. So you start off early on with silvers because some gear is better than no gear. So getting some gear on everything is great. Once you have at least green colored gear in all of those slots, then go to golds, because golds are going to get you blues real fast, because you're guaranteed a blue upgrade if you already have greens. And that will get you upgraded power very quickly across your champions. And then occasionally you will also get an epic item. Let's try to get an epic here. If you have real bad luck and one doesn't drop right away, if you'll note, there's a little purple bar here under these gold chests. This is your pity timer. You are guaranteed an epic every 10 gold chests. Guaranteed. One that you don't already have until you have them all. And then you'll get duplicates. So even if you have some bad luck for a while, how long are you going to make me go, game? We may go all the way up to the pity timer here. Eventually, you're going to see an epic piece of gear drop. There it is. It's a nice purple. It gives you a nice purple flash. And I got my epic. And then this pity timer, we're going to watch it. I'm going to click done. It's going to reset. Boom. Now at 10 chests from now, I will have another epic at worst, but maybe earlier. Maybe earlier. There's another type of chest that you get in this game, and you got one today coming here. If we click on this little box, the little lock chest, it opens up what's called a cryptex. And for this cryptex, there's the codes that are in chat and that show up for these streams. I have one right down there. Welcome to IC. You put this in the cryptex, click on lock, and it gives you a reward. More often than not, it's an Electrum chest. It's an Electrum chest. So what's in an Electrum chest? Electrum chests also drop white gear, green gear, and blue gear. A lot like a silver. There is a marked difference, though. Silvers, again, these regular silvers and golds will only drop gear for your core and evergreen champions. Early on, that's the bulk of your champions. But you saw when I was clicking through all of my little champion boxes that I had lots of champions. There's almost 100 in the game right now. Well, the gear for all the rest of those usually comes from very specific chests. But one of the places that you can get at least white, green, and blue gear is from Electrums. Electrums will drop gear for any champion you own. All of them. Including core and evergreen, but hopefully you will have already geared them up through these. But if not, you're also going to get some gear out of these. So Electrums will give you, it's guaranteed what's going to come in here in terms of items. You're going to get one piece of gear. You're going to get some contracts. You're going to get a potion, and you're going to get gems, which will let you buy more silver and gold chests, or maybe familiars, depending on what you're saving up for. Right? Electrums are going to provide you a variety of nice things. We haven't talked about contracts and potions. I've got a guide for that, or we can ask questions. But basically, once in your inventory, you will have an inventory. I've got tons of potions and things. Potions are limited time boosts. As we say, this one here is a small. It lasts for 5 minutes. This specific one will boost your damage to all your champions, right? And there's different rarities of these that last for different durations and have different amounts. They do stack. I can use one. I can use one of these. I can use one of these, and I can use one of these, and we will have seen they all stack up here, and they multiply against each other to give you an even bigger boost, right? But it is, again, you're limited to the duration, except for the biggest one. Those will last for your entire adventure. But once I complete this run and start a new adventure, these potions will start. They go away. Okay, so nice little bonuses for a variety of things: damage, gold find, health. You can do more damage with your clicks. It's called fire breath. And then there's speed potions. Speed potions make the game go faster. So as we see, everything's speeding up. All my attacks, all the animations, how the game is progressing, and yeah, everything goes faster with speed potions. They're fantastic. Contracts, bounty contracts give you gold, but also event tokens. Read my guide to event planning to learn more about event tokens, but you basically want to hold on to bounty contracts until an event starts and then use them. Blacksmithing contracts allow you to add item levels to champions. You can target a champion, but you can't target an item. As you can see, I've got over 4,000 item levels. It shows at the top of the art here. Golden level 4,200. Each item, the higher the item level, the more power that item provides. And that's, again, permanent power for those champions. There's some more potions that are like 7-day potions that are kind of unique. They're pretty self-explanatory. You might get them in, they usually come out of the cash shop. So damage all champions, gold, bonuses. They're small bonuses, but if you'll notice at the duration, it says 7 days. These are the only potions that last run to run to run. They will last for 7 days. And then these are in-game things. We don't have to worry about that. Occasionally, you will get a Potion of Polish. Potion of Polish will give a bonus to a slot. If a slot goes from normal to shiny like this, it is now 50% stronger. Yay! Yay. You will get some of those occasionally. Most of those come from the cash shop, but the nice folks at CNE like to give us free gifts every now and then. Keep your eyes out. So, if we complete this adventure, we will come to a post-adventure screen. I can skip the scroll. Boom. You'll see how much gold you earned. You'll see what favor that converts to. You'll see some basic stats, like who was your highest damage champion. Shocking, none of the veteran players in this chat, despite Jarlaxle being who I was focusing on my DPS, Ashara outdid them. Ashara is going to be Jarlaxle is going to be your starting DPS, but quickly Ashara becomes better. So if I come back out, now I'm on the map screen and I can go wherever I want. I can go wherever I can go on to the next one. Once I've completed that base adventure, up to 3 variants are going to appear, depending on the campaign and how many they've added. In Sword Coast, you're going to see 3 early on. I recommend, highly recommend, that you ignore the variants at the start. Just do the Cursed Farmer, go on to the Mad Wizard, Beast Intentions, etc., etc., etc. It's going to stop you down here, and it's going to tell you you have to do some variants. Then you're going to want to go back and find some easy variants. This difficulty rating that says green, this is based off the favor you have in your campaign. So I'm recommending you do the base adventures and maybe do them again as a free play and get some favor to make it show as green before attempting. Otherwise, you're going to have a no good, really bad day. Because variants are much harder to do than regular adventures, and if you don't at least have this minimum level of favor that they're telling you is a good idea, you're potentially not going to be able to do it. And you might be tempted to be like, well, I'm going to let it sit here and farm favor overnight. Well, that wasn't enough. I'll leave it a couple more days. Please, no. Please, no. Don't. Some games might work that way. Idle Champions does not. If you're going to bed and you want to leave it farming for favor overnight, sure, great. But generally speaking, if you have been sitting at your wall killing things, trying to get gold to upgrade for an hour, you're done. You're done. Just complete your run, collect whatever favor you've earned, start the next run, and let that favor help push you further. That's probably the biggest tip I can give you today, is don't sit on a level forever. You're not going to get there. You're not going to get there. If you are on the last level you need, maybe. But even if you're like 2 or 3 levels away, probably not going to happen. Probably not going to happen just by farming gold for a few hours. So look at those difficulty ratings. Earn favor, which basically just means going in and earning a bunch of gold by pushing as far as you can. And that's going to help your progress more than just beating your head against a wall, an in-game wall, repeatedly. that's going to wrap up our first hour. This is kind of the end. This is a very tiny slice of introductory knowledge for this game. Again, like I said, hit up the subreddit. There's a lot of guides. I have literally, is it almost 115 guides for the game, and they're all focused on new players. And just linked it in chat. Head to the Discord. You can ask questions. There's a new player channel. You can go to the new player channel and ask questions 24 hours a day. People are around, and people are, for the most part, people are pretty good about helping people out. There's also a formations channel if you want help with your formations. And on a weekend like this, where there's a natural time gate going on, there's a time gate channel where you can ask questions about time gates too. Make sure to utilize those resources. There are a lot of resources in the community to help you enjoy your game more, to help you get more out of it, to help you push further, and to help you feel like you're getting the progress you want out of it. Doesn't just have to be my guides. There are a lot of resources on the subreddit. So, check them all out. There's multiple new player guides that are going to probably have tips that I didn't share with you today that you might want. But I wanted to give you a smattering, a good collection of overall tips that you can use to move forward. So if you have questions, I saw that Jordan's already grabbed a bunch of them. So we're going to take a short little musical break, and we're going to come back, and I'm going to start addressing those questions. If you have more questions, by all means, you can throw them in chat. I will hit the stuff about new player stuff first, and then I will do just general Q&A for the rest of the hour once we get back. We're gonna go to break with a song for the tutorial dwarf himself, Bruenor Battlehammer. You can actually hear music like this. These songs were created on a show on this channel called Bardic Inspiration. Happens on Tuesdays usually. But a bunch of those songs have actually been fully produced and turned into actual albums that you can buy on Steam in the Epic Game Store. But they're also in the in-game jukebox, and you can listen to lower quality versions of them for free. But this is Bruenor's song, The Greatest Dwarven King. This is the original, the OG acoustic version that we're going to listen to right now. We'll be back shortly.
Bruno Battlehammer, charging on the field, battle wave the banner. They know we'll never yield, so they run with the clamor, yeah. Bruno Battlehammer, ranks closing, but the whole line shatters. Hail of arrows, you can hear the clamor, yeah. Their lights can't hold against a king so bold. Make him proud of the clans of old. Gaarawarr, he's on fire. Lion savior of the Mithril. Remember, I'm Swindale. So raise your hand to the greatest dwarven king. So say we all. Ages fang, hammer of the gods, all the heroes sang. Gift for the sun and praise by his clan, yeah. Gone too grim, lifetime of searching was the doom of him. The sacrifice denied the halls of Moradin, yeah. Things can't hold against the kingdom bold. Make him proud of the road. Gaarawarr, breathe in fire. Lion savior of the Mithril. Remember, I'm Swindale. So raise your hand to the greatest dwarven king. So say we are. To the greatest dwarven king, So say we all.
Oh, hey, that's my cue to come back. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back, everybody. All right, so we're gonna do some Q&A. Jordan grabbed a bunch of questions. I'm just gonna let this this free play run in the background. I need to put somebody other than Briv in because he's gonna confuse new players. Why is he just jumping everywhere? I don't understand. All right, let's remove Briv. We'll try to normalize some things. All right. Is your tutorial dwarf off in a trial? He is. He is. There's an in-game. There's in-game. This is why I couldn't show you Brunor today, folks, because Brunor is off in end-game stuff called Trials of Mount Tiamat. You send off a champion to represent yourself and your team, and give you bonuses in your journey. And until you defeat Tiamat or fail to defeat Tiamat, they're gone. It can't be used in other places. How do you switch from the current stage to stage 1? Yesterday I had to do Jin swapping for Baaloth. I couldn't figure it out. So if you want to jump around stages, you can just come up here and click on one. You can come and click on one. Now, if you want to jump back a long distance and you're on PC, you can shift click on this blue arrow here, and it takes you all the way back to the beginning, and then you can just click on one. Fortunately, this doesn't work on consoles. I don't know if it works on mobile either. And then you can also, you can shift click on the blue here, or you can just turn auto progress back on. Auto progress will jump you back up to the highest level you've been on. That's how you can kind of jump around. It's not, it's definitely harder on consoles. They've heard that feedback. I don't know when we're going to see changes to that, but hopefully soon. Let's see, we did that one. With the weekend Smuggle Beer, with the weekend buffs, we didn't talk about that, but we can talk about that. To support Tyrell, is it worth it to use Niall as a tank instead to push? Potentially. So here's the thing. Every weekend, for new players, if you don't know, every weekend the CNE chooses 5 champions to give a little bit of a boost to. And it also, this is the new moon weekend. It also, there's a newsletter. If you sign up for the newsletter, you're going to get a free chest that has gear potentially for these champions if you own them. There's always going to be 1 or 2 champions that are the core champions, so you'll always get something out of it, along with potions and stuff. If you don't have the others. But that's another great way to do stuff. But they'll have little bonuses, like Celeste gets 200% to her adjacency buff. Tyrell gets 200% for his Moonbeam. This means Tyrell is a champion that can either be a support or a tank. And Moonbeam is the more support feature. Now, whether that means it's going to be better for you to push with Niall as your tank instead of Tyrell, I don't know. I don't know, but you can try it. 200% is effectively a triple bonus, right? That's just how that math works. So you're basically tripling the effect of their Moonbeam. If that's going to make things a lot better for you, yeah. But you just have to go try it out. You just kind of have to go try it out and see. It tends to be, those buffs tend to be nice little bonuses if you're already using those champions, but it's not like, they're not necessarily, hey, it's time to go out of your way and put some of these champions in your formation. Sometimes it is. Depends on the champion. That's just kind of something you have to learn in the game, but you can ask. This weekend I don't see anything that makes me want to force a champion into my formation over a different one. What should I spend my gems on? I think I saw somebody link the gems visual aid. Again, generally speaking, silver and gold chests. Silvers until you have at least green gear in all of your Corn Evergreens, and then switch to golds, and then golds, and more golds, and then all the golds. I still buy golds to this day. because golds have lots of fun things like blacksmith contracts and bounty contracts, and those are fantastic throughout your experience. Even when the gear is like, I don't care about the gear. I just want the contracts and I want the potions. Okay, we talked about that. Well, that's a lot. I guess, did I answer all the new player did new players just not have any questions today? If you're a newer player and you have questions about things, fire away. Fire away. Jordan will grab them and throw them in chat. I'm going to go back and answer some of the more general stuff. Asriel, is split the party mostly about luck with the champs that are removed? Sort of. How likely to clear for a new player who just hit the requirements? You can absolutely do it. If you qualify for Split the Party 1 or Split the Party 2, you can complete them. I know, because I went back on a new player account. I do this regularly in playthrough so that I can make sure my guides are accurate. I went back on a new player account and did it with very low power champions right as I qualified. I used only core champions to make sure that anybody could do it, and yeah, completed it. You can find my guide for that on the subreddit. It explains what I did, but Split the Party is about understanding what's happening and not using too many champions at once. I mean, you can use more champions than I did in that guide, but just know that it's going to, potentially cause problems. But it's not luck. You'd have to make good decisions. You have to know that occasionally you're going to lose champions, and you have to make good decisions about placing your champion, what champions you place in the formation, so that you're still going to end up with people that are going to be helpful for you as you get further along. Spydar, so I want to concentrate on Torm's favor to get to that last global blessing for patron variants. Plus there's that start strong before it. Is it wise to just do it and get it over with? Oh, that reminds me, I need to... Oh, that's oral. I'm like, why are those all purchased? I need to buy all these again. This is pretty solid. E19 is a pretty big ask. You want this, I recommend, I don't know what your progress is, Spydar, but I recommend, again, you grab Gem Hunter, bounce over to Tomb of Annihilation, at least push far enough through Tomb of Annihilation to unlock a Zaka Stormfang. She's an evergreen champion in Tomb. She helps you earn lots of favor, and she will make it super easy for you to get E20, E21 favor so that you can buy all of this. If you have her already, then just do some Azaka farming, which is a specific manipulative form of gameplay that gets you lots of favor. Do that, and you'll have enough to buy that easily. But yeah, if you don't have Azaka yet, get her first. Otherwise, the grind to get that favor that's just a lot. That's a lot. Okay, now I feel better. Now I feel better. I got them all back again. All right. Torfez, should I save my time gate pieces until I unlock all of the evergreen champions? If you have, so time gates, we didn't get to time gates really, but time gates are a way for you to go back in time and unlock a champion from a prior event. So in this case, I selected, in this free weekend, I selected Black Viper. She originated in the Fleet's Wake event. I can go back and I can get gear for her by doing a time gate. But you can manually do time gates. Once you earn 6 time gate pieces, when you're brand new, 1 will drop every 5 to 6 days, and that's your only method of getting them. So it's going to take a while when you're new to get a bunch. We just got given a bunch for free in the recent spring extravaganza. So some people have 6. If you've got 6 and you're not ready to unlock a Mert, like you don't qualify to unlock a Mert yet, because Mert takes 3 time gate pieces to unlock as a patron, go ahead and run a time gate and grab yourself a shiny new champion. With spending 6, you can choose any champion you want from the past. You know, we generally recommend you you ask some questions about that first, and the kinds of things we want to know are like, you know, do you have slots that don't have 2 champions in all of them yet? Like if you don't have one of these swippy swappy buttons and at least a second option in all your slots, that's part of your goal, and we'll want to know which slots you don't have 2 in. And then what we'll do is we'll tell you which are the best options to pick out of those other slots, and maybe guide you to the strongest champion you could have in the moment. That also pushes you towards that 2 champion in each slot goal. This goal exists. Hey, look at all those green gems. This goal exists to unlock Split the Party, which is what we were talking about a moment ago. Split the Party. The reward for completing Split the Party is a Modron core, which is this automation feature up here. It adds more automation, but it also adds, potentially, once you level it up, a lot of power. These are all these nodes and power things. It's a whole other feature of the game. We call it the pipe game. That can get you lots of bonuses and lots of permanent power for your account. The sooner you can get started on that journey, the better. So yeah, I would say if you have the 6 time gate pieces and you don't qualify to unlock Mert yet, go ahead and get yourself a shiny new champion. Shabby Duder, do either of Dinar's choices affect lead by example? Also, is Tatiana any good? Tatiana's solid. I'll answer that one quick. Tatiana's a great buffer. She's a tank and a support, and her support buffs are real solid. Now, Dinar's lead by example. I think we're talking about any of the choices. I think you mean specializations. Dinar's specialization choices specifically alter his command effects, which are his basic attack effects. So Dinar's basic attack is command. He's yelling at people and telling them what to do. He's not actually using this giant sword to hit anything. So it has nothing to do with lead by example. It's changing how his effects work. So it turns his basic attack into like an AoE effect, or it just increases the amount of it. So no, his specializations don't have anything to do with. Who did I have in there originally? Whittle. Don't have anything to do with his actual buffs. Elder Direwolf, are the time gates in all the same layout in respect to picking favorite enemies for Minsk? No. Because I mean, if you're doing time gates for champions that came from the same event, each event has the same enemies, but the events all have different enemy combinations. I have a guide for every champion in the game. So there's almost 100 guides right there. If you go to the guide for that champion, it will actually, at the bottom of it, it will list off all the enemies that are in their event, and it will show you like totals. I have totals at the top of that. So you can make decisions about things like favorite enemy. So depending on the time gate you choose, you're going to have different enemies to face. So J-Dog, what's the bombshell you dropped at the end of GG2E about a change to the Saturday schedule? This show may adjust its time. We will see. I'm just warning people in advance that this may be the last week that it starts at 9 a.m. Pacifically. Once that's finalized, one way or the other, I'm sure CNE will tell everyone. Danik Valen, I don't have any heroes for slot 3 or 7. Any recommendation for a strong hero for a first time gate? So slot 3, it's where Nayeli starts. Grama is my general recommendation here. Grama is a turtle who is a support, multifunction champion, but you're going to use her as a support in her Circle of Arctic spec, and she's going to help you out a lot. She makes your team more survivable because she gets more health and shares it with the team, but she also has a slow effect and a debuff. It's just, she's fantastic in slot 3. Slot 7, Freely. This little boy, he's currently in his pirate outfit. Freely's probably the best choice in slot, is the best choice in slot 7 out of a time gate. That doesn't mean there aren't, that doesn't mean like Caddy Bree isn't good. She is, and Jim has functions, and the others exist. But Freely's going to be your choice. Freely's going to be your choice in slot 7. Joshua, returning player question. Can you show me your gem farm formation? I stopped right when the 3rd course came out. Ooh, so my gem farming formation is not a normal gem farming formation. I don't know how long ago you stopped or if you know anything about automated Briv gem farming using Modron cores. Yeah, that's a whole thing. So, I mean, we can go to like Mad Wizard and see if I still have a Mad Wizard gem farm, but I don't gem farm in Mad Wizard anymore. But Mad Wizard is usually the kind of your first place that you go to. This is kind of something. It's not really a new player thing. You're not necessarily going to go spend a lot of time. I need to. Well, we'll just hop in. Early on to earn gems, you just want to complete adventures and variants and push through the campaigns. But there'll be a point where you've done that, and now you need. You want to earn gems in your downtime a different way, and so you'll come back here to Mad Wizard, and you will put in a bunch of champions that help you go real fast. These are called speed champions. They will have a speed tag. So this would be, I think this was my last Mad Wizard speed formation. Yeah, that looks like it. It goes real fast. It goes real fast, but Briv, the automated Briv farming is faster. Is faster. And the others exist. Love that casual slam. Well, here's the thing. So Minsk is your default. Caddy Bree is a solid support. Freely is just the best in slot. Sometimes there is the best in slot. Freely is the best in slot. Of the DPS here, Farida is probably the best. There are a lot of people that really like Black Viper and her scaling, but Farida tends to be more functional. Lucius is kind of just the Heroes of Erois DPS. Doesn't really have a niche that he shines in. Jim is Ac Inc. DPS. Again, I mean, he has some functional uses for certain things, but it's not necessarily all around. And Xeraphon is an evergreen champion, and they are pretty great as a support, but they require that you're spending a lot of time in an adventure, so going really deep and stacking up their buffs. So they can be solid, but when you're a newer player, if you just want to plug and play a champion and get a lot out of them, Freely is the one to go to. Freely is the one to go to. But yeah, I mean, I talked about how variants are kind of the meat of this game. You need a lot of options in your slots, in your bench slots, because there are going to be times where you just can't use your go-to options, and you are going to use like a Black Viper or a Lucius or a Jim. They exist in that slot, and they can be used, and they'll help you. But they may not be like your first choice if you had a choice to use. It's just that variants don't always give you choices. So it's good to have a deep bench. I have all the champions so far. It's good to have a deep bench and know how they all work, and have decent gear on them, so that when you need them, you can use them. Oh, that is a good reminder, Smugglebeer. Who is asking about that? Danik Valen. This was a good reminder. You don't have a slot for 3 or 7. Go with 3. Get Gromma out of 3, because slot 7 gets a new champion Wednesday. Slot 7 gets Gazric on Wednesday. Gazric's a new champion. Gazric looks pretty cool. Pun intended. Smugglebeer, when stacking debuffs for Freely, are there any tips or tricks with the core champs? You basically want to. Freely has a feature where he has called the Luck of Yandala, and other people can qualify for it and stack his debuffs, and it's based off their alignment. So you can go lawful champions, you can go chaotic or neutral champions, or you can go chaotic champions on this neutral on the lawful chaotic axis. If you're using core champions, you're probably using Ashara, in which case you want to go Trust in Law, because every single punch from Ashara is going to count as a stack. But generally what you're looking at is the number of attacks, not just the number of champions per se that qualify, but the number of attacks you're getting out of champions. And are there AoEs? Because AoEs will hit everything. If there's a stack in your formation, AoEs are going to hit that and apply it to everything that it hits. So you want to look at that kinds of things. But generally speaking, if I'm running Ashara, I'm going Trust in Law. If I'm doing Hitch DPS, I would go chaotic. I think, isn't it chaotic? Hold on, I don't remember. But yeah, you're gonna want to look at their alignment, see how many hits you're getting out of people, and make that decision there. Let's see if there's anything else coming in. Is there a way to view characters without having to swap them into the formation? Nope. Form Boy. Unfortunately, that is not something that's currently available in the game. The only way I can see what this champion does is to actually have them in the formation. If I want to see what one of these others does, I have to actually pull them in. You can use, external sites like fan sites or guides or things if you want to see what information on their champion is, but there's not a way to view them in the game. There's not a way to view them in the game currently. I'll look up a guide for auto briv farming. Oh, Joshua, hit up look for Zeke 640's guide in the resources channel in Discord. There's also a thread off of the resources channel that talks about it, but they do have a written guide on the subreddit. That's a good place to start. Understand it is very manipulative. There's lots of little details and little, I call them knobs and levers to twist and fiddle with to get it to work right. But when it does, once you put in the time and the effort, it pays back in major dividends here. We may as well. I use Terror in the Dark for this. Oh, and I screwed it up. All right, well, hold on. Come on. There we go. Now let me start this over. Who should I use for Horizon Edge? Who should I use for DPS other than Ashara? Ikoria and Ariza also don't work. Well, Ikoria isn't a DPS, so you wouldn't use Ikoria. Ikoria is a support. Ariza is a DPS / support, but I mean the thing is, Ashara's early on. Once you're no longer using Jarlaxle as your DPS, Ashara is the number one DPS for early to mid game and general usage. Period. So if you can't use Ashara for something, then you just have to find someone in your bench that's going to do the next best DPS, and that's going to be based off a number of factors. It's going to be based off the gear that you have on your different DPS champions. It's going to be based off what other champions you have to help support them. So, it's hard for me to say. You have Evergreen's Hitch, Archon, Dritz, Minsk, Azaka. I mean, out of those, Hitch as a support is going to be your best multi-hit DPS after Ashara. Even though Hitch isn't a DPS. That's just the way it is. Because none of the rest of those are going to do multi-hit. None of them. I Like that or Tatiana Grama. Tatiana Grama aren't DPS. So again, we want to look at roles when you're putting a champion in. You want to look at what their role is. And generally speaking, you want to use somebody that has a DPS as your DPS role. Hitch is one of maybe 2 or 3 exceptions to that, but that doesn't happen very often. Hitch was originally a DPS, which is why he can still do DPS. He was adjusted and made a support, but he still has a lot of his DPS scaling, so he still does well. That's the only reason he's an exception. But Grama's a tank. Tatiana's a tank. Grama has a DPS option, but don't ever use Grama's swamp spec. That's not a thing. I mean, you can do whatever you want. It's your game, but that's really not a thing. Yeah, if you want another multi-hit attacker after Ashara, you're going to have to use Hitch. Or get Farida. Casey Rubin, Priv farming is so lucrative. How many gems do you have currently? 1.37 million. And I'm probably on the lower end of people who earn gems with this method. But I'm happy with that. Letharau, why is it that after playing a while, more champions show up in your slot than before? More champs were just there when starting a new campaign? So I think we talked about this earlier. When you start a run, like you can see, I had all 12 of my bench slots were available to me, and that was a function of the favor that I have in that campaign. Bench slots become visible based off the amount of gold you currently have. So if you have enough gold based on the favor in a campaign, then when you first kill one creature on level 1, you might see multiple bench slots become visible to you. Your champions are all still there. You just, until you can earn the gold to put them in, the game doesn't show them to you. So it's not like you have fewer champions. It's just you don't have the gold to put them in. So the game's just trying to make it easy on you and not show you stuff that you can't use yet. No, I did that one. Will your reset blessings mess things up for now? No, because I fixed them. Tatiana's also multi-hit with a big buff, so I was thinking of making it up with additional support. Tatiana's not a DPS, though. So I don't know what you're trying to do, I guess, Horizon Edge. But if you're trying to kill things and push real far, you need to use a DPS. You need to use a DPS champion. The roles do matter. Tatiana's a tank and a support. Does that mean that you can't? I mean, you could, if you want to build a formation around Tatiana hitting things real hard, Tatiana Smash, go for it. But you're limiting your ability to progress by using a champion in a function that they weren't intended to fill. How would a Hitch DPS affect Artemis formations? It wouldn't, because Hitch doesn't have a DPS tag. And Hitch doesn't have positional formation abilities. You used to put Hitch with Artemis because Hitch used to be a DPS/support, and Artemis liked that, but they effectively somewhat nerfed Artemis because they took Hitch away in that regard. I'll note that for Grama's achievement, you do need to clear area 175 with Swamp Spec. Sure, but it's sorry, CNE, but Swamp Spec's it's a swamp spec. It's a garbage, stinky spec. It doesn't. Might one day you be forced to use Swamp Spec to clear a variant? Sure. But would you ever choose to? I mean, not if I have any other choice. Do you think Zorbu is completely dead? No. Zorbu's, look, after Ashara, Zorbu's the second best general DPS in the game. So for the most part, you're going to complete most of the game currently in its current state. You can, if you're trying to use the meta which you don't have to. Play however you want. Even when I'm saying don't do that, if you want to do that, do whatever you want. It's a single player game. I don't know. If you want to take a month to complete things that take a couple days, you go right ahead. If that's how you want to play, if that's what makes you happy. But usually people that come here don't want to play that way, so try to give them my advice as such. But usually you're going to spend in the current meta, you're going to complete most of your stuff with Ashara. And if you're not completing with Ashara, if you want the next best DPS, that's Zorbu. Now, there's a whole Artemis Krond meta it's lots of item levels, very specific champions. It's usually harder to do than just Ashara and Zorbu. So Ashara and Zorbu is still there. And there's times when, honestly, Zorbu does better for me than Ashara. Ashara's not. There aren't... in terms of DPS, there's only one truly dead DPS in this game, and that's Rosie Beestinger, unfortunately. Hopefully that changes in the future. But there's only one where I would be like... Rosie and... Well, I guess Gromma and Swamp Spec. Rosie and Gromma and Swamp Spec. But yeah, just because somebody isn't the number one DPS anymore doesn't mean they're dead. That's not how this game works. WW Monster, I just got Xander in my time gate. Could you give me a TLDR? Xander is a functional support, but don't bother with their speed ability. It doesn't really matter. Yeah, that's the TLDR. He has some placement requirements. I think he wants to be in front of the person that he's buffing. Gosh, I haven't used Xander in a while. Xander, where you at? Oh, this is why, because he's in slot 5. Okay, we need to pause here. You would go, yeah, follow closely is what you would do for spec. The other one is the speed spec, and his spec doesn't matter. So it's really all about streetwise. So increases the damage of all champions in the column behind them. So that's really all you want to know. Childlike Wonder is there's a bonus if there's sorcerers, warlocks, or wizards adjacent to him, but it's not something you build it's not something you just choose to swap champions out to get this. It's like if they're already in your formation, you just want to make sure they're close to that, because the bonus is only 50% for each of them, even though it's probably multiplicative. But yeah, that's all Xander does, really. He just buffs the column behind him. He's supposed to have a speed effect, but the speed effect doesn't really work. Or it doesn't work well, I guess. I don't know why, but the answer was Urkira. For some reason, her attack is like a half a second. I don't know what Horizon Edge. I don't know. I have no idea what you're trying to do. So, yeah, you did not give me enough information to know what you were trying to do. You just said, who should I use for multi-attack fast hitter? And it's not Urkira. If you've got Whittle, I mean, you've got Whittle. That's a whole other thing. Let's see. Flamebeard, who do you recommend as third champs in slot 2 and 10? Already have Whittle and Havilar. In 2, I would say Dinar is a very good boy. In 10, if you already have Havilar, I mean, if you're in Waterdeep and you're close to unlocking Ikoria, Ikoria is an evergreen. Otherwise, oh boy, probably either Yorvin or Eliwick. Probably Yorvin. 10's tough. They're all kind of okay champions. They don't necessarily have an outlier. I mean, Tyrell is the outlier, but you get him automatically. How do you know when to reset, Leo? How do you know when to reset the run and start again with more favor? I mean, you get to a place where you can't really. You might be able to kill things, but you can't. Like if you try to go to the next level, you die. That's kind of, we refer to that as the wall. So you tend to fall. You fall back to a place where you're just killing things and you can survive. and you can earn some gold. You do that for an hour or less, then you reset. And you take that favor and you go and you try to push further. Either in a new adventure or on the same one if you weren't able to complete it. That's going to be how you move forward. Now, the caveat is while you were at your wall, you should have been trying to adjust your formation to see if there was potentially a better formation for you to use to push further. But if there isn't, then yeah, then that's how you know you're at your wall and it's time to reset and start again. Less serious question: why are wolf pups walking around the forest with more money than Jeff Bezos? Because it's a video game. Yeah, easy answer. Easy answer. I wonder if Penelope could out DPS Rosie. I have absolutely destroyed things with Penelope. Penelope is one of those kind of potentially secret DPSs. I don't know why Penelope is scaled as well as she is, but sure. And her ultimate can just wreck things. Smugglebeer, you said that click damage can clear the zone of the click level. Is that still true with only one familiar? Yes, because I was referring to how much damage you do with each click. The way the scaling works is that it's, in most cases, there are some exceptions, like events, time gates, and depending on what functions you have on your Modron core. The way the scaling works is the damage of the click level is corresponding roughly to the area level, and once the area level is higher than that, you're no longer killing in one click, and it starts to become a couple clicks, and then becomes more and more clicks, and eventually you're not doing any damage at all. Whether that's one familiar or 6, I mean, you get more clicks per second the more familiars that are out, but it doesn't change the damage. So yeah, that's still true. Penelope's accidentally ruined top DPS on challenges for me. Absolutely. Yeah, when you're trying to do patron challenges and top DPS, you got to make sure you're using very specific formations that are going to help you achieve that. Yeah. Farmer, I only started playing 2 days ago. Welcome. So could do with some advice on where to find starting information on formations for the complete noob. I mean, the Discord is great for that. Discord, jeez. Is it discord.com/idlechampions or is it Discord? I don't know what Discord's thing. Is it discord.gg? There's a command for that. Discord.gg/idlechampions. Discord. Yeah, the Discord's good for asking questions about formations. If you want to learn how to build formations, I've got a guide for that. You can go to my Formation Strategy 101 guide at the link I just put in chat. But if you just want somebody to kind of do it for you while you're brand new, you can go there. But I will tell you, the most important foundational knowledge you can have for this game is learning how to build your own formations. Because that is 100% of this game is building formations. You can only copy paste for so long and in so many places. And someone else, even if they have the same champions you do and they say this works for them, they could have different gear levels, all kinds of different interactions that might make that work for them, but it won't work for you. So keep that in mind. Like what I'm doing right here on this screen literally only works for, like, this specific setup and the levels and everything literally only works for my account. Somebody else tried to copy paste this. If they had just even the smallest thing off, it wouldn't work. This is a very niche example, but really, if you learn to build your own formations, learn to understand champions one at a time, and how they work, you're going to be able to solve all of these puzzles in the game on your own. Hold on. I need a slot 12 for a second champion. Any suggestions? Yes. Go to Tomb of Annihilation and unlock Azaka Stormfang. She's got the cowboy hat on. This is her farmer skin because she's literally a gold farmer. So they gave her a farmer skin. If you want a slot 2, this is where your focus should, or slot 12, this is where your focus should be. You should go to Tomb of Annihilation and unlock Azaka. Yes, I have a guide for that. But that's a big deal. Now, if you can't do it right away, Melf will be arriving Wednesday with the Greengrass event. So there's the easy answer. But honestly, you're going to get so much. Azaka is such an important champion. Such an important champion. You need to go get Azaka. That's literally my second milestone goal in my new player reference. First is just Dritz, but that's mainly just so that you understand how things work. And then it's go to Tomb of Annihilation and unlock Azaka, because you need it. You need Azaka right away. Magic Man, is there any benefit to clicking on the distractions? They drop a little gold. They drop a little gold. Is it worth the effort? Not if you have to do it manually. Not if you have to do it manually. With 6 familiars on the field, it'll do it automatically, but it's not worth the manual effort, in my opinion. Are there exceptions to that rule? There are times when you might need a little gold right off the bat, and that can help you, but generally speaking, no. Smuggle Beer, why isn't the average DPS breakdown working? So let's get this. I didn't want to do this during the new player tutorial, but here we go. I'll do it now. Base DPS and average DPS are not things you need to look at in this game. So this stuff up here and all of this, these will lie to you in different ways. You want to use Bud, which is down here. This stands for base ultimate damage. This is your actual biggest hit that you've been doing and who's doing the most damage for you. Between this number and the area you're on, that's how you determine your progress. That's how you determine your progress. Now, why did this show as 0 for so long? Because I was killing with familiars. If the champions never have a chance to hit something, they can never register something. Any kind of damage for the running average, or even for Bud. Bud would have been 100 until Nayeli hit something. And these base numbers they're all a lie. They're all a lie. And if you hover over this, it tells you it's a lie. It tells you it's a lie. A static version of your base DPS. Base DPS is not dynamically affected by timed or random events, stacking, or enemy debuffs. Instead, static modifiers are used to represent those upgrades' contribution to your DPS, useful to compare formations but may not fully reflect total damage done to enemies. It sounds like I'm reading a disclaimer off a pill I'm getting from a doctor. But basically it's saying, hi, I'm not real. I'm not real. Yeah, I don't know. I will say this, it's better than what used to be there when the game first came out, but it's still not good. I have mine switched over to averaged because averaged is better than base, but it's still not good. I really just stick to this. Yeah, I think we got another about 10 minutes for questions, folks, if you have more questions. Let me see if there's anything that came in chat that looked somewhat like a question, or we'll see. Oh yeah, if you're doing split the party, I have a guide for that. Casey, is Human the best speed champion, and why is the answer yes? Yes. They're the most broken speed champion. Yes, I do consider Human broken. And it's because they can basically make it so you kill one thing on a level and then you're done. The second most broken speed champion is Briv, and you're seeing why right now as I jump every single boss level. If you haven't noticed that I'm not dealing with any bosses, it's because Briv is jumping over them all. And that's a little broken, folks. Danielson, do you need Jim to work the Azaka farm? Not anymore. Not anymore. Jim was required. I know there are still video guides up on the YouTube channel that show me talking about, hey, here's how to use Briv, or how to use Jim. It's not really a thing anymore. It hasn't been for a long time because Jim creates. Here's why. Jim creates a mimic that drops 10 times more gold, which is nice, but it's not overpoweringly required. And that Mimic had armored health. It still does, but back in the day when those videos were being made, Krull's Traitor Plague would, for whatever reason, would not destroy that Mimic. And that was the main reason we used Mimics, is so that it was easier to have one enemy left behind. The fact that it had a 10x gold bonus was also nice. But 10x isn't, it's not game breaking. So ultimately it helped you isolate a single enemy to a Zaka farm. Nowadays, a lot of people push with click debuff. That isolates enemies auto on its own. And if you're pushing with regular stuff, well, we have a new champion called Vi, who can turn things into a little crystal orb that drops on the ground. And honestly, that's, even though her gold bonus doesn't work with it when you switch a Zaka in, because the gold bonus only affects it when Vi is still in the formation. Currently, that crystal sphere will just drop on the ground and sit there. And you can knock it back so that it's all the way to the right side of the screen. And then you can just kill everything that's in front of the screen. And the plagues will transfer all the way to the back of the screen. And it makes for easy isolation. So Gem isn't required. Technically, Vi isn't required. You can do all this stuff without it. It's just a little harder. It's just a little harder to isolate enemies sometimes. Let's see. Going away for a week. What level should I put on as auto? Oh. I kind of want to build up my Zorbu kills while gem farming. I was thinking Templars, Campers, they're a better place. I mean, if you're going to cycle, if you have a Modron core and you're going to cycle an adventure over and over, and you want to farm Zorbu kills, I'm going to tell you right now, like if you're going to go offline, it's not going to add as many kills as you might think. It does, you do earn Zorbu kills offline for his abilities, stacks for his abilities. They're just not as much as if you leave the computer on. I'm not saying you should leave your computer on while you go away for a week, though. That's not great. But just know that it's going to get you some, but not a lot. But yeah, I would try to find a level that, like an adventure that has, hopefully all 4 of the enemy types in it. But if not, at least get, well, you just drow, beasts and undead. If you can find something that has all 3 of those, great. Otherwise, pick 2, and go with it. Because drow is going to count for drow and humanoid. Yeah. So if you're looking to do that while earning gems, I mean, you're going to want to use your Modron, and you're going to cycle to push through and make sure that Zorbu is what's killing everything for as much as possible. You're kind of doing like 2 things at once. It's not going to be super efficient, but it's better than nothing. It's better than nothing. At what point does Ashara get better than Minsk? Like pretty much the moment you can unlock Ashara's bonds. So hold on, let me turn off my progress here. So right here we have a bond. It's Potpourri. It's level like 10 or whatever. You would pick for DPS. You pick Potpourri because this buffs Ashara herself. And then you want to make sure that you can have, because she needs 2 other champions that match this bond. You put in Makos and you put in Tyrell. So at the point where you can have Ashara, Makos, and Tyrell in your formation, those 3, that lights up this bond, and she's better than Minsk. Because Ashara does equal damage to everyone. Minsk has favored enemies, and you will do lots of damage to those favorite enemies, but the second you get to a level, an area where the favorite enemies don't exist anymore, you just slam into a wall and can't progress any further. So yeah. At that point, once you can have a Ashara, Makos, and Tyrell in your formation, and then if you want to really go super wild, it's when you get to the second bond and you can match that with 3 more. You need at least 3 of the qualifying champions, type of champions, to light up, I call it light up her bond, and basically make her damage show up. Puritan 74, I'm struggling with Descent into Avernus, and most people do. It's a hard campaign. Currently at E31 favor. That's solid. Do you have any tips on the best strategy? Should I do more variants to boost power? Or keep running deep pushes to gain a little more favor each time? I mean, you should have a Modron core, so make sure you're continuing to level up your Modron core. If you're not able to finish, like you should be able to... At E31, I guess, Puritan, are you able to complete the adventures? Like going through and beating all the adventures will unlock some nice things and more progress. If it's just that you're having trouble with variants, then patron variants, doing some patron variants will help get you potentially some global patron buffs for power. But I feel like E31 should be enough for you to beat Elturel's Last Stand, which is the last adventure. You're just going to have trouble doing some of the variants until you have some more power. So yeah, just keep building your account power, because favor isn't going to help you. If you have E31 favor, increasing your favor isn't going to help you complete anything. You're soft capping, you're hitting the upgrade, like this little circle with a line through it. You're hitting that, so favor isn't going to help. You just need more account power and champion power to push through. Where do you find this account power you speak of? Well, we were talking about that earlier. Account power is all of those permanent bonuses that you get from things outside of favor. So global blessings are one over here from all the different campaigns. As you progress further, patrons have perks, and they have global perks, and this can be a lot of power. There's 4 different patrons. That's a lot of power when you max all that out. There's also your Modron core. When you level your Modron core up to level 15 and you make the flow all purple like this, that's a lot of power. So that's all global account power. Regardless of what champions you have in, those things are going to give you power to be able to complete things. There's also achievements. It's a lower amount though, EO5 total, and I've almost got all of them. So it's a small amount of account power, but yeah, it exists. It's still a multiplier. It's just not going to be that high when you're new. Last question, Farmer. I'm doing my first time gate, Trickster's Delice, which needs me to get to 75. Is it normal to get to, say, wave 55 and find it easy, but wave 56 decimates me? Potentially. Potentially, yeah. And that means you didn't have enough favor. You might want to do a free play in that event and try and get more favor. Because you're going to need to get 20 more levels, and if you're 20 levels away, you might not be able to finish that. You can try to adjust your formation and see, but you probably just need more favor. With time gates and event stuff, favor is usually the key. Yeah. Oh, you're on Elturel's Last Stand. Yeah. Elturel's Last Stand is difficult. One of the other things with Elturel's Last Stand, actually completing Elturel's Last Stand, that is a DPS race. Elturel's Last Stand is a DPS race. You need a multi-hit DPS, so Ishara, probably. You can't do it with a single target DPS because you're attacking multiple armored things at once. And if you don't kill them fast enough, like if you kill one, it goes away, a new one comes out. And if you don't kill those fast enough, the other one regenerates. So, yeah. Account power is listed where it's not. Again, it's not a number. I call it account power. It's not a number you can go look at. It's knowing that I have all of these blessings that add all of these power for all of these campaigns. It's knowing that I have all of these perks. I mean, I could try to total all this up, but there isn't somewhere that's not going to do it. That's going to do it for you. It's just you have to grab permanent power that is general power from these other locations that will then boost your champions. Oh, that's help. Not Zorbu then. Yeah, not Zorbu. Not Zorbu. Zorbu cannot beat Elturel's Last Stand. Cannot beat Elturel's Last Stand. All right, we're out. We're running a little long. The song on the way out is going to be Jarlaxle's song, The Secret Lord of Luskan. Thanks for hanging out, everybody. If you want to hang out with me some more and doing non-idle champion stuff, head by my Twitch channel in about an hour-ish. I've got to get lunch and figure out what I'm doing for dinner in the interim. But then I'll be over there playing some games. So have a great week. If you have more questions, hit up the Discord. That's the best place to go 24/7. Bye, everybody.
Know him from his eye patch and his ostentatious hat. His wardrobe is in purple and he moves sly like a cat. Never-ending daggers and the charisma to match. His bracelets sometimes jangle and his boots make quite the noise. A wand that sticks you in your tracks is one of many toys. There's seemingly no end to all the tricks that he employs. He's the secret Lord Alaskan. In your side is totally thrusting. You better hope that you've got a tough skin. So beware any fool who trusts him. He's the king of misdirection. He's a proud iconoclast. He's a grand manipulator and his resources are vast. He's a mercenary captain with a exposed sky to the mast. He's the master of disaster from Menzo Baron's land. He pulls on threads of intrigue better than a crown matron. He says he's just a businessman, but that's his biggest con. He's